You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Radio Show, only on Financial News and Talk. Now live in studio, your host, local and national real estate expert and consumer advocate, Ron Siegel.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries. As we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media, this is the show that connects the dots of confusion. Delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots, you know the actions you can take, how your family or business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day. We have a very focused show. We want to chat about items that affect the roof over your head, your bank account, and anything I feel would benefit you. But before we get into our intriguing content today, please join me in welcoming our featured guests and repeat offenders, both of them.
Welcome back.
Josh is going to eventually even know this song, right? I mean, when I first played it, it was like, what the heck is he up to now? Blake Vartanian, Realty Pro 100. Jim Norton, Realty Pro 100. Welcome.
Thank you, Ron.
It's our first Sunday show, but I guess I should finish all of our intros, right? I mean, otherwise they might replace me here, but maybe not. Let me remind you, if you ever have any home or finance-related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you. And you can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, sometimes it comes directly to me first. Other times it goes to our wonderful team.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
But no, I don't answer the phone when I'm broadcasting. Most people don't want me to share their personal information. Well, I have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan, a plan to save you money. I personally work with you. Even if you don't have any needs today, save this number in your phone for future reference, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. So it's always fun. I guess second Sunday, we've been off for a little while. If you're watching us recording live, it's Wednesday morning. I have not lost all of my marbles, most of them, but not all of them. So I know that it's Wednesday as we record live, but a lot of our folks are listening to this on Sunday on the radio. So we appreciate you. Our first Sunday back, January 9. It is, this one's fitting for our microphones right now. Static Electricity Day. I couldn't have planned that one. Josh, you must have planned that one out. National Sunday Supper Day. I eat supper every day, but I do try and get the family together on Sundays. Balloon Ascension Day. Apricot Day. You guys ever go to Los Osos? Up on the Central Coast,
It's
like
beautiful
Cambria?
up there. It's beautiful up there.
Little place up there. The lady makes homemade apricot jam.
Oh.
I might have to go up there, and then you just go across for about a half hour and you get wine. So I wonder if the apricot jam, I have it generally for breakfast, so it's really good. Now, if it was after the wine, I might not know as well if it was good or not, but in the morning we know. But, today is a big day if you're listening to us on Sunday morning. Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. Now, I'm going to throw it out there because I can. I don't know why we have Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. I think every day is Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. Right? I mean, I think the men and women who are out there enforcing the laws, I love them. I would probably not do too well if I was ever on a jury, especially a criminal case, because I believe the police officers. Right? There's a few of them in every world that there might be bad apples, but I would say that if I had to, come in with a bias, which I guess you're not supposed to if you're on a jury, but I do, I'm always biased toward law enforcement. So I appreciate our men and women in law enforcement. In fact, our team has a discount on every transaction for law enforcement. Every one of them. In fact, I should grab the sign over there. Right on the other side of my office, there's a big sign that shows, doesn't have the amount put in. It's generally about $500. We give every law enforcement official right off their closing statement. And something, we are blessed to be in this country. So I am a big fan, not only of our law enforcement, firefighters, military men, women, current and retired. So, we love all those heroes that we call them. Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. Usually I think that's usually in May, because we end up taking food the last few years before COVID, we'd always go and feed all of the Anaheim Fire Department. Right? We bring in, for every shift, we bring in a meal to cover everybody as they were going to work. So our pleasure to do that, and our appreciation for the men and women of law enforcement. I think you guys probably share my sentiment.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's one of the fun parts of what we do. Let's see if can we give away some stuff today. I think that, being that it's a new year, we've got so much stuff that we love to give away, and we do a raffle. Generally, it's Thursdays or raffle day on Ron Siegel Radio. If you want more information, go visit our Facebook page, because we don't want to get anybody in trouble for our raffles. But let's just give away all kinds of stuff. How much stuff can we give away in the next, 4 minutes, Josh? We got about 4 minutes to give away stuff. So our new home buyer guides for the winter, they're out. All you have to do is go to rsrhbg.com, get a free copy of the home buyer. Change them every quarter. Not that it's going to change what you do, but we change the guide. Our seller's guide, rsrhsg.com. That one's free too. About 25 pages each on those guides. We do workshops. I don't even know where to find all the workshops, but Josh could tell us eventually. If I asked him, he'd put it up there on the screen. I never give him any warning on this stuff, but we've got a whole section of workshops that we've done. Probably 15 workshops, Josh, first-time home buyers, the whole bit. We're going to be doing a lot of first-time home buyer workshops. You'll be able to watch them right here. We've got about 90 minutes of content it's about 5 hours of content that I squeeze into 90 minutes, right? So we got that always coming up. Our heroes, we've always got something to give our heroes, rsrhero.com, rsrhero.com. So always giving away stuff. We love the idea that you're listening. We know you have an option. There's great information. Why do we do the broadcast? It's pretty simple. It's all about educating, right? We've for 11 years now, I've been doing these radio programs, and it's all about educating you, giving you the best content, the best guidance I can. I even give you some static here and there when we have that to do as well. I don't know why my mic is making so much noise on here today, Josh. It doesn't like me. I guess it's too early on a Sunday morning. But the bottom line is come here for guidance. What do we talk about? Well, we like to talk. I got Jim and Blake here where you ask them what we're going to talk about today. We have no idea. Right, but we did, now in the middle of December, I don't know if you guys caught it, Chapman University did their economic forecast about I don't know, I shouldn't say this. I think it's 30th, 40th, something like that. I served on the third staff way back when. It was the dark days back in that era. So what does Chapman have to say about real estate? That's something you may want to know, right? I mean, that's always good information. What does Chapman say? Interest rates by the end of the fourth quarter, 3.9%. 30-year fixed rate loan.
I'm seeing forecast 3.6 to 3.9.
End of the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
End of fourth quarter, 3.9. So we'll see what happens there. They're saying real estate prices will keep going up. They got the R word for 2023. All right, recession. That pretty likely. I think that's a good guess from them. Now, I did not hear this time. Jim Doty usually tells us what he thinks with Doty's law. I think it's Doty's law number 97. Is whenever an economist tells you 40% certainty, that means they don't know what the heck they're talking about. Just Doty's law. And being that I did study with him way back when, before he didn't have a PowerPoint back then. Jim, you probably go back that far.
He was
right?
still using chalk on the board.
No. The overhead projector.
Yeah, that's right.
With
The overhead
overlay,
projector with the overlays.
With the
right?
overlays.
Yeah,
Right,
Oh.
about those transparencies.
Yeah.
Yeah. You shuffle one from the other.
Yeah, then you lay a chart over. That's how you stack them up.
So when you think about some of the things that Chapman's coming up with, right? So we're looking at 3.9 interest rates by the end of next year. Chapman, if you look at their history, they've got a tremendous success record. Very, very successful in their forecasting. Usually they fight with Goldman Sachs to be the number one in the country for forecast accuracy. And if you can be fighting with Goldman Sachs, now I don't know about this, but I think Goldman Sachs might have more money than Chapman. Just throwing that out there.
A little bit.
Right? But
Not much.
so the bottom line is, if you want to wait to buy a piece of real estate, you can do that if you like paying more money. So we're going to talk with the guys about that and a whole lot more. Who knows what rabbit trail we will go down today. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Hey, we're going to talk about avoiding the rental trap in 2022. And it's divorce season. Best practices for managing credit card debt in a divorce, all that and more. You can reach me anytime off air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com, facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Are you like many of your neighbors trying to figure out how to pay off your debts so you could retire someday? Build bigger savings. Invest in opportunities. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Debt will destroy 50% of Americans from being able to retire earlier and with more. What if you could have a guaranteed program that could show you how to eliminate all of your debt in 10 years or less, all without having to spend more each month than you spend right now? Yes, that's correct. All without spending more from your checkbook each month than you are today. Get your free analysis today to see if you qualify. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Log on today for your free analysis, rsrnodebt.com. No purchase necessary. The free analysis takes only 2 minutes. rsrnodebt.com. Ron Siegel Radio is your home and mortgage connection. Go to rsrnodebt.com. rsrnodebt.com. Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a real estate reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified divorce lending professional. Reach out to Ron today. RonIsMyLender.com. Again, RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender. Are you tired of paying rent? Are you tired of paying someone else's mortgage? Do you know qualified folks can potentially purchase a $500,000 home for less than $5,000 out of pocket? Ron Siegel can help qualified people purchase their own home at amazing interest rates. If you're tired of paying someone else's mortgage, reach out to Ron today at RonIsMyLender.com. That's RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions, as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make the call, 800-306-1990. Nikki's standing by, ready to help you with any of your needs. So what is the market doing? If you don't hear us during the commercials, which hopefully you're not hearing us during the commercials, because that means I messed up the mics one more time. But we're just chatting about what interest rates are doing and the forecast of where they're at. So where are they? As of now, again, we broadcast we record the programs on Wednesday morning. So I don't have the Thursday update. My ESP is not working too well. But as of December 30th, Freddie Mac, it's not me, it's just what Freddie Mac says. 30-year fixed rate loan is 3.11, and you have to pay on average 0.7 of a point to get it. Last year, 2.67, you paid 0.7 as well. So they're up a little bit. Does it hurt the market? No. But what are we going to be looking at going forward is what the real question is. So Jerome Powell, chairman of the Federal Reserve, they said that they want to taper their purchases. So even though they weren't telling us exactly what they were buying before, they were buying about $120 billion a month. We find that out by looking at their balance sheet. They decided now, as of December, that they're going to taper to only be doing they're going to cut back by $30 billion, $20 billion in 10-year treasuries and $10 billion in mortgage-backed securities. If they continue that, their new purchases should be done by March, which, in my educated opinion, and we've got this on tape somewhere, Josh saved it for us, that means our first interest rate hike from the Federal Reserve should be in May 4th. Just my prediction. They're not going to want to hike rates. Now, if they're foolish, and boy, oh boy, we know that the Federal Reserve generally creates more recessions than anybody else. If they're foolish, what they'll do is they'll slow down the tapering, the runoff. What is runoff? So basically right now, the Federal Reserve is buying about $90 billion a month in their purchase program in 10-year treasuries and mortgage-backed securities. But on top of that, every time a property is sold and a loan is paid off, every time a property is refinanced and a loan is paid off, that's called runoff. Well, the Federal Reserve has been buying that back too. They don't talk about that. When they talk about the $90 billion, that's just new purchases. If they let that runoff go before they increase interest rates, we could see some real tough times ahead. So we're going to be watching that for you, because what happens is the bonds don't like inflation. But if the bond market starts seeing that the Federal Reserve is increasing interest rates, they say, Federal Reserve is trying to get rid of inflation. So that'll be favorable to bonds. When it's favorable to bonds, the yield goes up, prices go down, or the bond goes down or up, and the yield goes down. Somewhere around there, right? It's Sunday morning. My mind's already thinking Sunday, guys. And in any event, got some Mortgage Minute brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. So I should get the opinion of our experts here. I'm just the guy that does a little radio here and there. So interest rates going up to 3.9 if Chapman's right. What effect's that going to have on real estate?
Jim, go ahead.
The lower end of the market is going to have the most effect. The upper end of the market, those people should be able to absorb a point. I think we did this once before. I think we use one $500,000 sales price or something, found it to about $200, $250 to your payment. Don't quote me on any of those numbers, but it's going to do is it's going to shrink the buying power. And so if your limit was a house payment of $2,000 a month, you're not going to be able to move it up to $225 or $250.
So if you're only qualified for a $500,000 house, you may now qualify at $475.
Right. Exactly.
Right. That's just I'm a simple guy, Jim.
You're doing it simple. Keep it simple.
Right.
So the bottom line is it does affect the lower end of the market and the amount of buyers for that market.
It's fascinating. Everything that politicians do with the quasi thought that they're going to help the lower end of the market, the working folk, really has the negative effect.
Yes.
Right? I mean, gas prices go up. The guy Elon Musk does not care about gas prices.
No. And
right?
not
because
he has an electric car.
Right.
But no, he doesn't care. Jeff Bezos doesn't care.
Right.
Probably, what is it?
But the guy or gal that's cleaning the hotel room over at the Disneyland Hotel,
he cares a lot.
He or she does care.
That's trying to save for a house, or the young couple just starting out, graduated college, their student debt, they're trying to get going. They'd like to buy a home, start a family. They care a lot.
So now with having a shortage of inventory of properties on the market, that generally will push the pricing up, right? We have a lot of buyers and not a lot of sellers. Supply and demand. That's generally going to push prices up. We don't have a lot of, I should not say that, because someone was just telling me recently, maybe we're seeing a little bit more inventory coming on the market. Are you seeing more inventory?
No, I'm not, at least from my point of view. But again, Blake he has a broader spectrum. I have,
We saw a tightening of it actually through the holidays of active listings because people were withdrawing their listings and what was pending wasn't being replaced by new product.
So
So
things
we
that
were
were
down to about 1,300 active listings in Orange County based on the data that we've looked at.
okay. So I got a problem here, Blake.
Yeah.
You said 1,300 active listings in Orange County, but to me, I can't comprehend that
Yeah. So
because what is normal?
So normal would be somewhere between 10 to 12,000
Wow.
in a normal stable market, but the population our size, when you have
10%?
when you have 4 million, yeah, it's about 10% of normal, maybe 15 or 20, depending on what market cycle you're looking at.
Okay.
But it's very unhealthy towards, for the buyers, it's a very unhealthy market because they're not competing in an otherwise normal market. They're competing in a very abnormal market cycle where there's already a limited supply and there's probably not much more than the normal amount of buyers that would be out there, but it seems like they're overrunning the number of listings because there's 90% less product out there.
That makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So even though that might be the same number of buyers,
Yeah.
there's nothing for them to buy. So they're what is it? The definition of inflation is too much money chasing too few goods.
Right.
Right. So there's a lot of money out there. A lot of people want to buy that house. Right. And I just had a chart on my screen here showing household formations. 43,000 households being are ready to be formed in Orange County. And that's based on 27 to 35-year-olds. 43,000. First-time home purchases, 23,888.
Well, on that subject of inflation, when you're talking about, let's say the politicians give credit to the $1,200 stimulus checks they gave to everyone twice.
Right.
So do you honestly believe that the United States economy is in inflation because we each got $2,400 for anyone who qualified? No, it's the $6 trillion the Fed spent offline in March of 2020 as we went into the pandemic. They, on that Sunday meeting where they saved the economy from falling off a cliff, and they injected $6 trillion on one Sunday afternoon into the banking system to reinflate the banking system because all the CEOs of major corporations had pulled all their corporate lines of credit and the banks didn't have the money to fund them come Monday morning. So they saved the economy,
Right.
And it's now 18 months later and we're seeing massive inflation.
So that was another issue that came up with Chapman. And it was fascinating for a simple guy like me.
Yeah.
Right. So Chapman said that in 2020, the government spent, I think the number was they increased their
Balance sheet.
They injected $6 trillion into the economy.
Right.
2021 they injected $4 trillion.
Okay.
So and normally, and don't worry about trillion, it's irrelevant, right? It's
Yeah.
just 6 and 4 is an easy way to think, right?
Yeah.
Just another,
The numbers are staggering.
$1 billion here, $1 billion there, and you're trying to get some real money.
Get a trillion.
Right. But they injected $10 trillion over 2 years. Now, normally the government's budget is about $4 trillion a year.
Right.
Right. So now let's think about this. They basically 2.5x their budget. But the part that nobody talks about, right? So now we've got this. So say this year they're spending $8 trillion from the government. Well, if they don't do another $4 trillion in 2022, and they just don't do another 4, and the government goes back to spending 4, that in and of itself is a recession.
Massive contraction.
That's a recession, right?
Right.
That's because you've got the GDP where the government didn't create their share of whatever average $5 trillion. They didn't create that.
Simple terms. You work for an employer and they walk in and they say, we're going to cut your salary by 50%. That's that's what that contraction is.
There you go. And it's going to have an effect. So then
what kind of effect would it be on you if somebody just cut your salary by 50%?
So here's the bottom line. Now what happens during recessions? Interests go up, interests go down.
Typically it goes up and wealth is transferred from one party to another because the asset still exists. Just people lose the asset, oftentimes through foreclosure or some other source. But all the assets still remain on the table. They just, cars get repossessed. The asset still exists.
So the asset is there, but generally during a recession, the government says, we don't want a recession,
Mm-hmm.
right? So how does the Federal Reserve fight recession?
Oh, they fight it by lowering rates
They
if they act in time.
Right, well, they're not going to act in time. We know they're not gonna act in
So
time.
by the time they act, it's 7 to 12 months too late.
Right, but think about this concept. So to fight inflation, the Federal Reserve lowers interest rates. Now, Chapman said we're going up to 3.9% interest by the fourth quarter of 2022. We also heard from them that we're going to have a recession in 2023 sometime.
Like they're planning it.
Well, they forecast. They have a good model. I mean, the Federal
Right.
Reserve's not going to say that, right? But we see some of these different numbers. Now, Blake and I just shared that to fight recession, the Federal Reserve then comes in and says, we're going to lower interest rates. When they lower interest rates, what does that do to real estate? Don't answer that. We're going to answer the question when we come back. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio. And you can reach me anytime on our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com, facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Are you like many of your neighbors trying to figure out how to pay off your debts so you can retire someday? Build bigger savings. Invest in opportunities. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Debt will destroy 50% of Americans from being able to retire earlier and with more. What if you could have a guaranteed program that could show you how to eliminate all of your debt in 10 years or less, all without having to spend more each month than you spend right now? Yes, that's correct. All without spending more from your checkbook each month than you are today. Get your free analysis today to see if you qualify. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Log on today for your free analysis. rsrnodebt.com. No purchase necessary. The free analysis takes only 2 minutes. rsrnodebt.com. Ron Siegel Radio is your home and mortgage connection. Go to rsrnodebt.com. rsrnodebt.com.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel Lending Team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel Lending Team knows that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 21037, and DRE number 0186945. You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions, as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by the area trusted real estate professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Text SLT Home Digest to 79564. Find your dream home before someone else does. You can also visit rsrhomedigest.com, rsrhomedigest.com. I'm going to tell you, it's the best report that you're going to ever get by email because it's dealing with your largest asset, not the one next door, it's yours. Avoid the rental trap in 2022. Are you one of the many renters? Think about where you'll live the next time your lease is up. Before you decide whether to look for a new house or another apartment, it's important to understand the true cost of renting in 2022. As a renter, you should know rents have been rising since 1988. And if you haven't seen the chart, go to ronsiegelradio.com. Look in the archives for this broadcast. You'll see the video there. And I used to say, now I'm not a skier. I always fell too much, and my idea of skiing was head first down a mountain and didn't go over too well. But the chart of median asking rent since 1988 used to look like an advanced ski slope. Now it looks more like Niagara Falls. It's straight up. In 2021, rents grew dramatically, according to apartmentlist.com. Since January 2021, quote, the national median rent has increased by a staggering 17.8%. Put that in context, rent growth from January to November averaged just 2.6% in the pre-pandemic years from 2017 to 2019, unquote. That increase in 2021 was far greater than the typical rent increases we've seen in recent years. In other words, rents are rising fast. Surprise, surprise. And the 2022 National Housing Forecast from Realtor.com projects rises from vacant units will continue to increase this year. Quote, in 2022, we expect this trend will continue and fuel rent growth. At a national level, we forecast rent growth of 7.1% in the next 12 months, somewhat ahead of home price growth, unquote. That means if you're planning to move into different rental this year, you'll likely pay more, far more than you have in the past years. Homeownership provides an alternative to rising rents. If you're a renter facing rising rental costs, easy for me to say. You might wonder what alternatives you have. If so, consider homeownership. One of the many benefits of homeownership is to provide a stable monthly cost you can lock in for the duration of your loan. And Josh, can you give me the link, or put on the screen the link for the 20% workshop so we can share that with people that we just did? Is that in Vimeo yet? We did that, I think, on Monday. We did a workshop on you don't have to put 20% down. I'm throwing these curveballs at Josh because they just come to me in the middle of a sentence. Lawrence Yun, chief economist from the National Association of Realtors, says, quote, fast rising rents, increasing consumer prices may have some prospective buyers seeking the protection of a fixed, consistent mortgage payment, unquote. If you're planning to make a move this year, locking in your monthly housing costs for 15 to 30 years, lock it in for 30, can be a major benefit. Homeowners also enjoy the added benefit of home equity, all kinds of benefits there of home ownership. I'm not going to get into all of them. You can call me at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. But if you missed it, Monday, go to ronsiegelradio.com in the archives. On Monday, I think we did a workshop on why you don't need 20% down. Real-time real estate segment, something like that. Real-time real estate. You guys can help me out. You guys just laugh. Go ahead, just sit there and laugh at me. Okay, I get it.
You're doing great, Ron. Really.
So if you were that's brought to you by the area trusted real estate professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. So before the break, if you were listening to us, I went through I think they call it macroeconomics or 30,000 foot economics, right? So using some numbers from Chapman University, and they've got a great reputation for their forecasting. They're saying that by the end of this year, fourth quarter 2022, home mortgage rates will be 3.9%, and they forecast a recession in 2023. The Federal Reserve uses interest rates to try and fight recessions. They don't like recessions because they don't like seeing people in pain, even though they generally are the ones that create them. And they will lower interest rates to try and fight that. And I said to Blake Vartanian, Realty Pro 100, he's our guest, as with Jim Norton, Realty Pro 100, both of them, that I asked Blake, what does that do to real estate prices if we have a recession, if we have interest rates dropping at that point? Do I have to worry that my real estate value is going to drop? Should I just say, hey, I'm not going to buy anything this year because real estate's going to crash? Young people only know one recession.
So the example, that's a great question, Ron. The example I like to use is that when you go to buy a new car, the car dealership rarely, if ever, talks about how much the sticker price is. They want to know how much down you want to put and how much month you're willing to tolerate or
So now
willing
he's
to pay.
calling me a used car guy.
No. Me. I'm calling. So when I use the example, it's if people can afford a larger payment and can have an affordable down payment, they're going to not pay so much attention to what the actual ending price is, which tends to mean more people will be in the market driving the prices upward, more people competing for the listings, unless there's just a flood of inventory because neighborhoods want to turn over. But I don't see that happening because the government in the state of California is also taking action to keep property in demand. Single family residences, we have to remember right now, R1 zoning does not exist. So every house in California that has at least 1,200 square foot lots can be subdivided into multifamily units.
That started on, as you heard yesterday.
September.
Alton told us yesterday that the law was signed in September, went into effect yesterday.
Yeah, it went into effect.
January 1.
I'm sorry, went into effect, right, but it was,
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah.
So it was adopted in September. So it's actually the law. I know there's people who are going to fight it, but right now it's the law.
Right, absolutely.
So
here's the question. My friend Steve Harney, I think you guys know him. He's been around almost as long as Blake Vartanian.
Yeah.
Right, but so his comment is people buy cost, not price.
Yep.
That's kind of what you just said, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I can afford it, then I can buy it.
Yes.
Right. If I can afford that payment, if I could, and unfortunately, in 2007, we had the loan programs that were being misused, right? So somebody said, that's $1 million house or $1.5 million house, and my payment is $1,000 a month, so I'm going to buy it, and I'm not going to worry about the fact that in 2 years it's going to go up to $15,000 a month. Right? Caused a problem.
Yeah.
But now we're not in that situation. The loan's out there. You don't need 20% down. You can do from $100, 0, 3%, 3.5% down.
Right.
And in Orange County, California, was it $940,000? I think you get into all of these low down payment programs.
Yeah.
Right. So you can. So what Blake's just saying is, hey, if you qualify for it and you can afford the payment, I don't mind paying whatever it is that I can qualify for.
And so when you look at the example, I've had people challenge me on that. And the example I would use is if you could live in a $2 million house and all you had to do was put $100 down and pay $400 a month, you would choose to live in that $2 million house versus most any other house in the area,
absolutely.
right? If it's $2 million, you get that much value for that little money.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of proves the point. And the second point is that with regard to the actual state,
property taxes are more than
right. That's well said.
Right?
Well said. Is that we sold real estate when interest rates were in the high double digits, so they were 17, 18, 19%.
You were better than me.
Yeah.
You sold it then. I was buying.
You were buying it. Well, I did some of that too. I did do some of that too.
And we were happy to get that 18% interest.
We were happy to get a mortgage.
Right.
And use someone else's money. And over time, we found out that we did okay.
And that's the bottom line right there. And so those people that are out there saying, something I'm not going to buy right now, I'm going to wait. Well, in my opinion, you're going to wait for a higher payment. Mm-hmm. You're going to wait for a higher price. And the only benefit there is you may get a bigger tax write-off because you don't have any money.
It's an interesting perspective on people's perception for time because, like you said, it's not the time to buy. I'm going to wait. What are you going to wait for? 1985 to come back, where the price of a house in Orange County was around $350,000. When it's
I don't remember those days, but Jim was around then. So.
I was around then. So, but you follow my point.
Yeah.
You think, well, it's not going back to that level.
Right.
It could fluctuate. I mean, when we're talking a minute ago, you're talking about 17, 18% interest rates. So within 5 years, you refied it down to 8%. And now now people don't even remember 8%.
So
8% was a standard for how long?
Yeah, 1998. You couldn't get. We waited till I think it was 1998 or 99 before prices. interest rates actually dropped below 8%.
Right.
We kept waiting and waiting and waiting.
And then we were shocked when they went below 4. Now we're looking at it going, well, they might go up to 3.94%. And it's like, oh, we don't want to buy. And it's like, why? Because you're waiting for it to come back down to 2. If it goes back down to 2, you can refi.
Right.
You have to think the product through because you're not going to visit that point in time where the value is going to be.
So here's an issue that I want to throw out and settle for you right now as well. So there's quite a few young people that work at Realty Pro 100.
Yes.
And I'm lucky enough that some of them come on the broadcast in spite of me, or I mean with me, right? And
You call it hour with grandpa, right?
yeah. But the thing is when I talk to them, they remember one recession.
Yes.
Right.
And that one recession was 2008, 9, 10.
Yep.
What happened to real estate in 8, 9, 10?
Devastated.
Devastated. And that's a great word for it right there, right? It's devastated. Real estate really was scary at that time. But
It took unprecedented fraud for that to happen.
right. But here's the issue, and I'm going to find the picture of it or the chart of all of the recessions of the last 50 years. How many times did we see significant drops in real estate prices? Once, 2008.
Yep.
Right? That was the only time in out of the last 50 years that we saw any kind of a significant. Now, were there drops in real estate? Sure.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter was, I think one year I saw that was down 1%, and the other years it was always up 5 or 6% during a recession. Why would that be? Well, interest rates are cheap.
And I always say, values vary from transaction to transaction. Oftentimes it's just so small that it's insignificant to affect the market, but every transaction is unique. Right. Every final sales price, because you don't know what's been given back on the other end of the transaction. You don't know if the buyer received a buyer's credit from that next highest price. You don't know if there was cash given back from an all cash sale, which we've seen people try to create their own next highest comp, which is what several tech companies have been accused of lately. But I'm not saying that they did it because I don't know whether they did or not. All I'm saying is that that's not the smartest thing you can do when investing in real estate.
But to go back to the 2008 recession, as you said, it was a lot of it was definitely a real estate driven. It was a mortgage driven, real estate related. So it took its toll on the real estate market. But since that time, the 13 years since, we have not
had a significant.
It's just gone, like you said, ski slope straight up. But at the same time, we have reduced the amount of inventory. I mean, it used to be at that time we had a lot more inventory.
Yeah. So when we come back, I found the chart to tell you about the recessions, and we may have to drop the better outcome segment today because we're talking too much. But I think we're giving you some good information. That's what we're really here for, is just to get you great information. So what I'm going to ask you real quickly is, does a recession equal a housing crisis? That's the question that I'm going to pose to you, and I'm going to get you the answer for it when we come back. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. Great information with Blake Vartanian, Jim Norton, Realty Pro 100. You can reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Are you paying rent because you cannot afford to live in your dream home? Are you paying rent because you don't believe you have the down payment funds to purchase your own home? At Siegel Lending Team at RonIsMyLender.com has up to $25,000 to help qualified people purchase their own home at amazing interest rates. Contact the Siegel Lending Team today at RonIsMyLender.com. Again, RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037. RonIsMyLender.com.
Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Are you like many of your neighbors trying to figure out how to pay off your debts so you could retire someday? Build bigger savings. Invest in opportunities. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Debt will destroy 50% of Americans from being able to retire earlier and with more. What if you could have a guaranteed program that could show you how to eliminate all of your debt in 10 years or less, all without having to spend more each month than you spend right now? Yes, that's correct. All without spending more from your checkbook each month than you are today. Get your free analysis today to see if you qualify. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Log on today for your free analysis. rsrnodebt.com. No purchase necessary. The free analysis takes only 2 minutes. rsrnodebt.com. Ron Siegel Radio is your home and mortgage connection. Go to rsrnodebt.com. rsrnodebt.com.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. So I'm going to throw a curveball at Josh right now. That I just put a new graphic into the show notes about recessions. Can you grab that for me real quick? So, and we're not going to do our better outcomes segment. I'm going to give you the freebies, but I'm not going to go through the report. We'll post the report on ronsiegelradio.com. But better outcomes, yeah, if you're going through divorce, mycdlp.com. You can go there and get the report as well. And if you are going through that divorce, sorry. But if there's real estate involved, we've got a great report there, a workbook. It's called My Divorcing Your Mortgage, mydymworkbook.com, mydymworkbook.com. You can put in all of your real property information in there, and it's going to give you some great data, and our team can then help you with that and take a look at it. No, we're not the lawyers. No, we're not the CPAs. But we do understand the intersection of real estate, family law, taxes, and play a little bit of a part in all of that. So get the workbook, fill it out, send it back to us. The team will look at it and get you some great information right there. But I do want to share with you a little bit of the information on recessions, because we are, if Chapman's right, we are heading toward one. And I want to dispel a myth, and we got to save this picture just because I use it, I talk about it a lot, but we don't always have the picture to share. So Josh is showing a picture. If you're watching us at ronsiegelradio.tv, any of our socials, or the ABs, or if you want to catch it after the radio program here on Go Country, just let us know. Questioning, does a recession equal a housing crisis? So you guys are old enough to remember 1980. Josh, sorry, we're dating you here, Josh, sorry. Real estate appreciated in 1980 by 6.1% during that recession. In 1981, there was another recession. Real estate appreciated by 3.5%. 1991, there was another recession. Mm-hmm. Real estate dropped 1.9%. Not a whole lot.
But it was a real estate related recession.
Right.
It was the S&L debacle.
Well, was that in 91? Okay. And I know there's a lot of aerospace, I know, left California. Is that
in big numbers.
More in California. I'm sorry, are your numbers national or California?
This is national numbers.
Okay.
2001. Recession of 2001.com.
.com.
Real estate was up 6.6%.
It was good. It wasn't bad at all.
2008.
Well, that's another story.
Real estate down 19.7 nationally.
Yes.
right? So the bottom line here is real estate does well in recessions, right? In 3 out of 5, it did well. 1 was neutral, and 1 it was no good.
But I remember, I think it might have been Alan Greenspan. He said, what puts you in a recession, generally needs to lead you out of a recession. So if you look at this pattern that we just talked about, 2001, the dot-com bust. That was where everybody was starting up an internet startup, and everybody kept saying, well, when are you going to have a product? Well, why do we need a product? Our stock's going up. And it's like, you have to sell something eventually to make money. Other your investors won't just keep throwing money at you. And of course it collapsed. But it didn't affect real estate because it was a .com. And then the SNL debacle, going back further history, that had a direct relationship to mortgages. So it had a direct relationship to real estate, but it was contained a little bit more than the 2008 recession, because in 2008, they were lending money to people with FICO scores in the 300s. I mean, I'm being facetious, of course.
Right.
But you know what I'm saying? There were people giving the keys back to the bank and then getting another loan.
Exactly.
You know, that's how
moving
fraud there
moving
was.
across the street.
Moving across the street,
There were
just
stories.
let go of one and bought another house.
The bottom line is, even if there is a recession, I don't think we need to be. That's not a good reason to wait to buy.
No.
Right. So your real estate is going to do well.
Well, it's definitely not a guaranteed reason.
No, we don't.
We
don't do any guarantees here.
Right.
But the bottom line is real estate should do well if Chapman's right and there is a recession. Interest rates should drop. So if you're looking at buying a house, you can buy now. Now, I'm the lender in the room, right? But bottom line is that you can refinance. If interest rates do drop, you can always refinance. Nothing to stop you there.
Ron, do you have $100? Would you lend me $100?
Sure.
How much would you lend it to me for?
How much can I get?
Exactly.
There you go.
So the free market might dictate actually better outcomes than we get because we have the government involved.
Right.
But now there was a time when the government did not backstop all the mortgages, and they weren't there was no such thing as a mortgage security.
Right.
But when I first got my loan in 1979, I was 19 years old, and I was on the phone with the lady who owned her own trust in Pennsylvania, and I was interviewing with her for the mortgage that she was personally putting up the money for me and my brother to borrow to loan against the house to secure the house with that we were buying with 10% down. And that was my first mortgage experience as a 19-year-old.
Wow.
And she said, why do two brothers want to buy a house? And I said, because we're in a family that has invested in real estate for decades, and we know the value of real estate, and we'll take care of the property because we'll own it with pride of ownership. And there's no time.
Back up.
Yeah.
Pride of ownership.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. That's a big reason why people are buying houses, right?
Exactly, because it's yours.
Right.
No one's going to come and say you have to be out this month because you paid your rent, but now I want you to do something else with the property, and I'm the landlord, and I no longer want you to be my tenant.
Well, I know
that can happen to a lot of people.
I know a case right now that's going on right now that gentleman owned a piece of property, been renting it out, decides he wants to buy a business. He said he bought the property for cash and wants to buy a business, and he needs to create some liquidity. And his idea was, okay, I don't want a loan on the property, so I'm just going to sell it. Tenants out.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that happened the day or 2 days before Christmas.
Oh.
Right. He made a decision that he needs liquidity.
Yeah.
It happened, but if
It
you own the
happens.
property, right, then you don't have to worry about that. If you own your own home.
Yeah, you own. I mean, if you follow the rules of the mortgage that you agree to, and you pay it on time, and you pay your taxes, and you keep your property in relatively nice condition, you'll have an asset that over time, money doesn't get any cheaper.
Right.
The $100 that we were just talking about a minute ago, when my grandparents gave me $100, that was a lot of money.
Right.
Now my 17-year-old looks and goes, "Is that all you're giving me? That's barely fill up my car."
Last year would fill up the car twice, but that's a
Yeah, I
different
know
story.
that's another. But
No, you're true. I mean, we're talking about inflation that might have cost of living increase,
Yeah.
and $100 isn't worth what it was. I mean, you could go quite a long ways on $100 now. A good one.
So here's right now one
you
of the
can't get
things
out of Costco for $100.
you never get out of Costco for. But here's
just
the bottom
box
line.
costs you $100.
Pardon?
Just the box they put
Yeah.
the stuffing costs you $100.
So the bottom line is real estate is a great value right now. One of the things you need with real estate is, and I'm going to, I don't get paid for saying this. You need a great real estate professional to help you, to guide you through the transaction, right? And we know great real estate professionals anywhere in the sound of my voice. And yes, I know that we're on Go Country, and I know that we're on the World Wide Web. So yes, anywhere in the sound of my voice, we've got great real estate professionals that we can put you in touch with. You also need to have somebody that can help you with the financing of it. Our team does a great job with that. Who's setting up your trust? Do you have one? Well, if you own real estate, I'm going to submit you need one, right? Because there was nobody. Heck, did you see what happened on I-95 in Virginia?
Oh my God.
Nobody got up that day and said, I want to be stuck for 26 hours on the freeway. I thought California traffic was bad.
Yeah.
Right? No, there's a lot of things that happen without. Now, thank goodness I thought I heard that there was no deaths, right? So the bottom line is it didn't turn out catastrophic. My ears and headset are turning out catastrophic. That's a different story. But the bottom line is you got to get great guidance. And what we're talking about here today is looking at what a tremendous university with a great reputation says about the economics of the future. Then we're translating it into your home loan. Maybe it's your future. Because if you follow some of the teachings of what Blake's come on here many, many times and talked about, Jim and I have talked about many, many times, it's how do you create wealth? Well, real estate is a big method of creating wealth. I'm just going to throw that out there, that you can create a lot of wealth in the real estate market by having a game plan. Game plan does not mean buy a house, right? That's it's like, if you're a football fan, a running play, a sweep right, is just one transaction.
Warren Buffett, great investor, known for all of his amazing decisions, in 2006, pulled out of Southern California and said, I don't want to own any real estate in Southern California. I'll bet if he could go back to 2006 and buy all the real estate that he sold, he would have bought that and probably not owned the real estate company that he owns. Because he'd rather own the real estate. Just my opinion. Or you go to Burger King or Dairy Queen or whichever one you want.
But something, he said he would never buy an electronic stock either, but he just made $100 billion on Apple stock. Just throwing that out there. Hey, we appreciate you listening to us every Sunday morning. We are here at this time. As always, we ask you, set that first radio preset button. You can do like I do and listen to Go Country all day, every day, or whenever I'm out running around. And we set that first radio preset button. Come back here, join us on our broadcast, 7 to 8 a.m. Sunday mornings, where we only speak out items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. A big thanks to Josh, who's engineering us today. If you want to meet the guys, Blake, Jim, give me a call, 800-306-1990. And, of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or Ron Siegel Radio. And remember, make a lot of money so you can help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.
An older by the minute. My boss just